Thank you. With that in mind, now we are going to dig into some of the other technical presentations. So as John mentioned, we have extended the animal health solution, originally started in US and New Zealand. So we did extend that to China and Europe at the back of some of the challenges that the US market was facing. But all of these expansions and talking to customers wouldn't be possible without a platform that can actually cater to these markets. So I am going to hand over to Philip Rivard, our TinyML engineer, who's going to talk to you about what is it that we've actually done with that platform and how it's serving all those other markets. Phil, over to you.
Awesome. Thanks for the introduction, Sava. Give me a second. Okay, perfect. Hi, everyone. My name's Phil, and I'm a TinyML engineer here at MACSO. I'll be going over some of the advantages we've made on the MACSO Animal Health Monitor project over the past year. The MACSO Animal Health Monitor is a sensor which has an AI built directly into it that detects pig coughs. This AI was trained on hours and hours of pig cough data from a variety of farms in New Zealand, US, and China. So basically, anytime the device picks up on a cough, it flashes red, as you see in this image here, and then sends that detection to our online dashboard. The power of this system is that farmers now have a trained ear listening into their farm 24/7 for any health outbreaks. So essentially, this can significantly reduce costs and help the overall farm if there's any deaths, those kind of things resulting from these sicknesses. So here I have a video which demonstrates that alert system I just explained, where we do hear a cough, and then the device should send a text message alert to my phone. So as you see right there, I just received the text message. So essentially how it works is the device picks up on coughs. Once it reaches a certain threshold of total coughs in a certain amount of time, like maybe one day, we send that alert to the farmer's phone with the specific device that did hear those coughs. Great. So one thing that I do want to go over is one of the most important features of our technology, which is Edge AI. Edge AI is essentially the fact that the artificial intelligence which detects pig coughs is happening directly on the device itself rather than the cloud. So typically devices that have AI for audio, they stream that audio data to the cloud, and then the AI does the detection in the cloud. The big advantage of doing everything on the edge means that we don't have to send any of that data to the cloud, so the farms don't have to constantly send data from their Wi-Fi network to our servers, which means lower costs. And then obviously the internet connection is typically not super stable in these rural environments. So it allows our device to perform at a high level, even with a bad Wi-Fi connection. So here I've got an image of our device on an actual farm. I've circled it in red, the device. The key thing to note here is the distance we have above the pigs when we deploy these devices. Here it's about 1.5 meters. And the reason for this is we want the device as close as possible to the pigs, but at the same time, we can't have the pigs reaching for the device and biting it, for example. So this is kind of the sweet spot that we've established. Awesome. Now that I've gone over the basics of the device and how it works, I'd like to share the additions we've made to the product over the last year. One of our first and major improvements to the platform was to make the device installation process for farmers much easier with these sensors. So just to give a bit more context, the way we used to do the initial installation process was we actually required a MACSO employee or engineer to physically go to the farm and actually put the Wi-Fi credentials from the code into the device. So we had to take out our computers, get a cable out, plug it into the device, figure out the Wi-Fi at that barn. It was a complete disaster, and it took so much time. And obviously that does not scale if we want more and more farmers using the product. So what we developed was an app called the MACSO Installer app that does all of this automatically, essentially, just through the app. So I'll go over exactly how that works here with the app. So the first step, of course, is to download the app from the App Store. It's available on the Google Play Store and the Apple Apps iOS App Store. Once it's downloaded and the farmer logs in, they're prompted with this map here, and then a little plus icon at the top right, which I have an arrow pointing to it. Once we click this plus icon, we can add our first device that we're going to install in the barn. Once that plus icon's clicked, we have the camera pulled up for the app, and we actually have to point the camera to the QR code on the device. Essentially, the reason for the QR code, you can think of it as essentially a barcode that helps us identify the exact device that we're configuring. So when we scan it, our backend is basically fully in tune of which device we're sending those Wi-Fi credentials to. Next is where we actually enter the Wi-Fi credentials for that device that we just scanned. The farmer simply just has to type that in here in these text boxes and then click next. Obviously, it's critical for us to get the device connected to the Wi-Fi because that's how we send alerts to our dashboard and to the farmer's phone through the text messaging and emailing system. Perfect. So finally, the last step is to place the device exactly on the farm where it will be located when it's deployed. So here we're just arbitrarily putting it on this map, for example. But once you click finish, then the entire process is complete. I've got a video here demonstrating that last part of the system so you can get a better idea of what it looks like in real life. So what I'm doing now is I'm clicking finish. And here you can see the device is blue, which means that we haven't connected yet. Now it's yellow, which means the device is connected to the Wi-Fi network. And then now it's green, which means that the device is fully configured and it's connected to our dashboards and it's ready to detect any coughs. Awesome. Now that we've seen how to install our devices on the farm, let's go over how to actually manage these devices with our new MACSO dashboard. Similar to the MACSO installer app, we have an app on the iOS and Android App Store for the dashboard, and we also have a website to cater to as many farmers as possible. It's also important to note that we are aware that many farmers are likely not using apps or websites that often in their day-to-day lives. So that's why we emphasize that text messaging and email system so often, just because if the farmers have that part of it set up, technically the dashboard is, I guess, less important because they're getting those critical alerts. They see the exact device that is getting that alert, and then they can just act accordingly. Here's a quick demonstration of one of the main aspects of the dashboard. It's the map. So if you look closely, you can see all of your devices on the map that are online or that are reporting coughs. Here you can see device 8 is online, but the pigs are healthy there. Device 2, which is in red, is a device that is also online, but the pigs are reporting coughs. And then device number 1 is a device that's offline, maybe because there's a power outage or a Wi-Fi issue at that location. And the last part I'll go over on the dashboard is the alarm system. As I went over, alarms do get sent to the farmer's phone through text message, but also they can see all the history of the alarms here, and they can see exactly when they occurred and which device occurred. And they can also address the alarms by adding comments or clearing them out if they've already dealt with those pigs and provided medicine, for example. Great. So that's basically the main elements of the dashboard, but there was and there is one issue with this dashboard, and that's that it does not work in China. This is, of course, normal because China has a firewall, and any apps or websites outside of China typically get blocked. So that meant that what we needed to do was create a native solution in China as well. So a dashboard system and a firmware for our devices using AWS China in the backend. So what you're seeing here is the dashboard. It's very similar to the other dashboard we developed for North America, but the one key difference is we do have a WeChat app because a lot of Chinese customers do prefer WeChat instead of directly downloading the dashboard from the App Store. Great. So now that we've seen how the whole system works, let's take a look at our new MOU with one of the largest animal health pharmaceutical companies in the world. In this MOU, we're running a variety of experiments that test the efficiency of our system in an environment of sick, coughing pigs. The goal is to demonstrate how valuable early detection can be to a farmer's bottom line and how our animal health monitor sensors are a critical piece in a disease-free farm. That's it for my side of things. Thanks so much for listening. Now I'll pass it on to Saba, our CEO.